Hey everybody, so here is the information on installing the actuating protection kit. So you should get an envelope like this, and inside you'll have a few pieces. Oops, there's the other one. This is the back plate cover. You'll have two washers. Yeah, they look very similar, but they're slightly different thicknesses. And you'll have two bushings. Also, look very similar, but have slightly different thicknesses on the bottom part. And you'll have a rear bushing, which will just be one of those. So, and then this guy will have some double stick tape on it. So those are the parts you'll get, and I'll show you where they go in the game. Okay, so I'm not going to go through every little nitty gritty detail here, but you'll be able to figure it out. Basically, obviously, we're looking at the back of the game, and this is the actuating arm for the Black Pearl, and you're going to have this pin in the top here, and you're also going to have a nylon washer that's on here. So you'll pull the pin out, take this arm off, and oops, and you'll have a white nylon washer that will be on here that you can remove and just hang on to. It's not needed anymore. And then you'll see I already have the protection plate installed here. You'll just remove the tape. I'd suggest before you remove the tape, just test fitting it. Who knows how accurate everybody's is drilled. I would hope that they're the same, but worst case scenario, you may have to shave a little bit with a knife or whatever. This is just plastic with a little carbon fiber in it, so you should be able to do that. So test fit that. Once it's good, take off the tape and pop that in there and just give it some good press on there, and that will be good. Then the next piece that's going to go on the back here is that one bushing that has no angle to it. So let me grab that. There's that bushing, no angle, no side hole on it. There's only one of these, and that's just going to slide right over that Black Pearl post, and it's going to go with the shoulder facing inward. So it's going to ride up and down on this guy with that post. So you just slide it on, and that will get put back together the same way. This is probably going to be your last step. First step, I guess I sort of went out of order, will be messing with the Black Pearl on the front side. So just hang on to this this information, and we'll look at the front side. If you haven't taken off the Black Pearl before, it's pretty easy. I have a video on our site that sort of walks you through it, but basically you need to remove the VUK, the big metal piece that's here. There are 3 screws down on the bottom. You'll need a long, I suggest magnetic 1/4 inch bit 4. You can get a 1/4 inch drive extension to put on a 1/4 inch bit from Amazon or something like that. Got to be at least 8 inches or 10 inches or something like that to make it easy. So once you pull that guy off, the Black Pearl comes out pretty easily. Make sure you go underneath and disconnect all the wires first, obviously. But that should be all you need to really remove to get this guy out. And so what you're going to do is using a hex key, and I don't have the size offhand. Let me look real quick. Okay, so it's an 1/8 inch hex key. You're going to remove the shoulder bolt that's right in the back of the Black Pearl, and mine's already removed, and it's the pearl sort of slid backwards already, so it's hard to see, but it's this guy, and it's sitting right down in the back there. You just toss the hex key in the top there and unscrew it. Your Black Pearl may slide right back when you take it off, so you might want to just hold it. But that's the guy that's keeping it on the mounting post. So once you remove that, you may be able to install the rest of this kit for your game without doing anything else. You may not need to remove the Black Pearls. You may not need to undo the wires or take off the VUK. It's sort of a per game situation, and so that's why there are different bushing sizes and washer sizes. The way I designed it originally, you won't have to take off the Black Pearl, but I've noticed that there maybe need to be some adjustment front to back to clear the ramp here, and so that those washers will give you the leeway. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to take one of those slanted bushings that has the hole in the side, and you're going to thread this guy into it. What I designed it for and what I suggest trying first is using the thicker of the two. And basically, you're going to thread this into it and then put it down in there and slide it over the post and then screw it all the way in. That might be just enough to get you where you need to be. Basically, the options are, in case your black pearl sits too far forward and hits the ramp when it rocks, you have some bushings that you can use, some washers and spacers basically, to put on the front post of the black pearl. And let's see if I can get a shot under here. That big black thing you're seeing on the bottom, sort of the middle of the screen behind the coil there, there's a metal post sticking out the back of that the black pearl sits on. And so what you would want to do then is take the black pearl off, slide one of the bushings on the front of that or the washers on the front of that post, and then put the black pearl back on, and that will push the black pearl back one of those washer distances. I think the washers, if I remember correctly, are 1 millimeter and 1.5 millimeters thick. So you have the option to go anywhere from 1 to 2.5 millimeters. And the rear bushings have a net, let's see, the thickness of the base is like 3 or 3.5 millimeters. So those are your options that you have, and you can play with those. But basically, what I'm hoping is that for most people, they're going to be able to put on the thicker rear bushing, and that's all they need to do. You won't have to take off the black pearl. So I'll thread this on and give you a quick shot of how that works. So here's that shoulder bolt with threaded onto the rear bushing. Basically, you just got to get it started there and try to keep it perpendicular and at a 90 degree both ways to that bushing. Worst case scenario, you strip it and it doesn't matter. The reason that it threads on here is to make it easier to install. And basically you're just going to take this whole thing, slide it down behind, and slide it onto the post to make it a little easier. You might need to use your fingers to help guide it on there, but basically you get the black pearl aligned and onto the post, and then use your fingers to slide this guy on. If your black pearl didn't need to be removed, you can use like a little towel or something back here to hold it forward so it doesn't slide back and off the post. That's what mine did. So I'm just going to have to fidget with it a little bit and get it back on the post real quick. Okay, so here's that guy. This is the post that you're going to thread it onto. And so if you're lucky, you can just push this down in here and get it to slide right over. And then you're just going to screw this shoulder bolt back in. You may need to get your fingers down in here and hold it, but start screwing this a little bit. You'll probably have to use the hex key. Mine's already been threaded on once, so I can use my fingers. And you want to make sure that you get it in the hole. It needs to be sticking straight up and down. So if you are screwing it in and you're feeling a lot of resistance, then it probably isn't in the hole. But once you get it in the hole, you'll notice that you can't move it back and forth. It's in there. So then you'll want to screw it all the way down. You make sure that it clears. If you screw it all the way down, it's going to clear the rear of the bushing here. So it's the shoulder bolt is holding everything in, not just the threads. And that should be it. As you can see, mine rocks perfectly on that, and I didn't need to put any washers in the front or anything. But if you need to, then you'll have to go through removing the black pearl and putting a washer on the front. But that's basically it.